Hey guys, it's Mrs. Kincaid, and guess what? We are starting our very last week of school for the year. Can you believe it? I can't believe we've been home so many weeks and I haven't seen you forever. But the good thing is we're going to get to finish our second book to Shadow House. And another cool thing is, in the mail, I got the actual book. So I'm not reading to you from the computer anymore. And another thing, I ordered a copy of the first book, so I have an extra. And I have, besides the second book, I have the third book and the fourth book. So for you guys who will be back next year, I know what we're going to be reading. And then for you guys that are 8th graders that I won't have anymore, maybe I could read these onto this YouTube page and you guys can listen to it if you want to finally finish up this whole series of books. I think it would be fun. Alrighty, so remember when I'm done reading chapter 23 to go to ExactPad or Plato, start a message and put book 2 chapter 23, and then you can answer whatever question is I ask. Most of you guys have been doing a great job, so I'm really proud of you. All right, here we are with an actual book. All right, sit back, relax, get something like a comfy pillow just to listen and enjoy this book. Here we go. Chapter 23. Dash forced himself to ignore the whimpers and whispers coming from Poppy and one of the Azumis who were huddled together over by the desk. Instead, he pretended to look closely at the photographs of the specials that were hanging on the wall. He couldn't stop thinking about his brother, wandering these haunted hallways, encountering ghouls like the foxes or the walking corpse from the greenhouse. Yes, Dylan was dead, but he wouldn't be if it hadn't have been for that trick Dash had played on him. He had found the others, and now he needed to find Dylan, instead of poking around in this bunch of filing cabinets. There was no way he could allow Cyrus to keep his brother trapped inside of this nightmare. "This is messed up," said the long-haired Azumi. Reaching into one of the filing cabinet drawers, she removed an ancient-looking pair of leather shoes. She let them dangle from their laces for a moment, and then she dropped them onto the floor with a heavy thump. She pulled another pair from the drawer, and another. Poppy shifted away from the spot where she had been reading. Whose did those belong to?" she asked, and a weird tension was starting to creep into her voice. Where had her optimism gone, Dash wondered. Maybe to some of the orphans who lived here," said Marcus, leaning against a wall on the other side of the filing cabinet. Almost manic, Poppy jumped to her feet. "Well, what else is in those cabinets?" she asked. She started opening more of the drawers, practically shoving the long-haired Azumi out of the way. "Look," she said. She pulled out a headless doll, a jar filled with colorful hard candies, some torn sheet music, a deflated leather football, and a worn, spiral-bound notebook with a pencil shoved into the spine. Marcus is right. These line up with what we know about the specials. Cyrus locked away whatever was left of their favorite possessions. Her face practically glowed with determination. Now, we just have to take off their mask and get these things to them. "Can I see that last one?" asked the short-haired Azumi. Oh, and I'm going to show you. We can show you pictures now. Here's a picture of this page. So we see the filing cabinets, and there's a pair of the shoes. And let me see here. I'm trying to see if I can. Oh, here's another shoe there. And let's see. Here, this is the jar, if you can see, of the hard candies. I'm just trying to see if there's and here's the headless doll. So these are all the things that they're finding that they know have special meaning to the specials. Okay, so that's what that was. All right, so it said, Poppy held it out to her. The notebook was filled with scrawled letters. "Dear Sister" topped every page. Esme, Azumi sighed. And then a leaf of paper slipped out from between the pages, and she scrambled to catch it. She took a glance at it, and then she screamed and tossed it away. It fell to Dash's feet, and he picked it up. "Don't look at that!" Azumi cried out, reaching to snatch it back. But he had seen it. It was a crime scene photograph. There was a body that was sprawled out on the forest floor. The clothes were dirty but familiar. He had seen them in the greenhouse downstairs. "No!" screamed the long-haired Azumi, catching a glimpse of it. "Morocco!" She rushed at Dash. Instinctively, he held up his hands and she bumped into him and then bounced onto the ground. "Don't touch her!" shouted Marcus. He hurried to Azumi's side and he helped her back to his feet. Dash felt faint. "I didn't. She was trying to—" "Just leave her alone," said Marcus, leading the sobbing long-haired Azumi away from Dash. It's a picture of my sister," she said. "She's dead. She really is dead." And she broke down again, covering her face as she shuddered and coughed. Marcus held her tight. Short-haired Azumi squeezed into the space between Poppy and Dash, looking pale but calm again. "She's faking it," she said, her voice flat. "I don't know why." But Marcus sure believed her. "What was that photo doing in this filing cabinet anyway?" Dash asked. Poppy spoke up. "It's just like—" She turned to look at Dash. It's really weird, but I found a letter from my mom. It was in a folder." Her voice hitched. "The letter said all of these horrible, horrible things about me." Dash sniffed. "When I was alone in the greenhouse, I saw a piece of newspaper stuck to the window. It mentioned that the police were looking for me and that I was— I don't want to say what it said." Poppy nodded. "Cyrus is messing with us," she said. "The letters, the pictures, the articles are simply more of his experiments. He wants to hurt us and to keep hurting us, to see how much we can take." Poppy glanced towards Marcus and the other Azumi. "Are you guys listening, Marcus?" Marcus nodded. "Did you find anything?" Poppy asked. "A disturbing document or something bad about your life from before you came to Larkspur?" "No, nothing," said Marcus. He didn't meet her eyes. But maybe I'm just not like the rest of you." "Well, maybe you're not," said Poppy, squinting as if she didn't believe him. "Maybe you're special." "What are you hiding?" asked Dash quietly. The scratching noise came from below again, followed by the sound of glass shattering. It was the cupboard. Marcus's eyes went wide. He moved back towards the wall where he had been standing earlier. There were indentations bored into the stone. As Dash came closer, Marcus began to climb. "Marcus!" Poppy cried out. "Where are you going?" "I think I see a hatch," Marcus said, his voice rising. Maybe it's a way out." But when he reached the ceiling and he pushed on the wooden panel over his head, it wouldn't move. "What's that?" Dash called out, and he reached up and he pulled a small black notebook from the back of Marcus's khaki pants. "To be honest," said Marcus, climbing down, "I forgot that I had it." I forgot that I had it. It looks like it maybe could have been Cyrus's journal. He wrote about these plants called larkspur." "Larkspur?" Poppy echoed, flipping the notebook open. "Yeah, apparently it was his father's favorite flower," said the long-haired Azumi, rubbing at the spot on her chin where the other Azumi had hit her. "There are two types. There's delphinium, and then there is consolida." Poppy glanced up. Her face began to pale. "I know," said Marcus. "Like your cousin, Connie's parents must have named her after this flower, too." "And delphinium?" short-haired Azumi whispered. Delphinia? Del? If the house is a puzzle, said Poppy, created by Cyrus to torture kids just like us, then we have to look this over. Dash reached for her shoulder. Poppy, we're running out of time. Those kids could smash through. But this is important, Dash, she said, dropping to the floor, crossing her legs as she scooted closer to a nearby candle. No, he yelled. His anger began to rise up out of nowhere. Everyone jumped, and they looked at him as if he might explode. But Dash couldn't help himself. This whole thing isn't what is important anymore. My brother needs me. Azumi's sister needs her, whichever of those two girls is the actual Azumi. We know that this house belongs to your family once upon a time. So what? Your great cousin or whoever it was a total psychopath. Who cares? Just leave the past in the past. It's not helping us get to what we need now, which is to get out of this room. Everyone was silent for a moment, just staring at him in shock. That's funny, Poppy answered moments later. Coming from you, that is. Coming from me, Dash echoed. Leave the past in the past? Poppy exhaled slowly. Dylan is dead, Dash. The rest of us aren't. You aren't dead. Short-haired Azumi raised a hand. Guys, do you think that maybe this is exactly what Cyrus wants? We already know that fighting isn't going to get us anywhere. She blinked at Dash, as if her eyelashes could brush away whatever spell had just come over him. Poppy got us out of the first two rooms. Why don't you just let her do what she needs to do? Dash clenched his fist, and then he turned as Poppy began to read, her voice shaking with anger and hurt. And that's the end. Okay, so it almost sounds like now they've all almost started fighting against each other, and Marcus seems to really be taking the side of one of the Azumis, and I don't know. I still have no clue which one of those girls is the real one. At first, I always thought it was the short-haired Azumi, as I think I told lots of you, but I don't know anymore. So this is going to be my question to you. And there's no right or wrong answer. So when you go to Plato and you go book 2, chapter 23, how do you think they're going to get out of this room? What do you think they're going to have to do? Do you think they're going to all have to start getting along? Or do you think one of them is going to solve a puzzle like they have before? Or do you think that they're going to get stuck in this room for a while longer? I really don't know. It seems odd that now they're really starting to argue. It's like, I agree. Is this part of Cyrus's plan? So that's all you have to do. Just tell me how you think they're going to get out of this room. All right? Thanks, guys. Bye.